So the first presentation is Right to Connect, and that's Patrick Fitzgerald and Sarah Gavra Boland from Liffey Valley Services, and I think you're here. I think.
We're here. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Patrick, and I am here for the Right to Communicate with Sarah Boland.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the Right to Connect project and Right to Communicate, even better name, we should rename it. And that's all around digital inclusion for persons with intellectual disability. Oh, we have to move this one on. Oh yeah, it's on there. Okay, go for it.
So we will be talking intro to Right to Connect project and what and why we are doing this project, who is working with us, how are we doing this research, what it's like to be a code research, and the first results from the research. The project partners that's with us.
Do you want me to go this?
Yes,
There's a lot of long names in this. So we've got the European University of Cyprus. We've got Atempo, who are a service provider based in Austria, in Graz. We've got Margarita, who are based then in Greece. We've got the EASPD, who are the European Service Provider Umbrella Group based out of Brussels. We've got the AAATE Network, who are Assistive Technology Working Group, again, across Europe. We've also got the the Linz University, ourselves, AIS in Bologna. We've got Funka, based up in Sweden, and this is all funded from an Erasmus Plus co-funded by the European Union. So get a snap of that picture so I can do it for my dissemination. Quick, Fatima! Great, thanks a million. Yeah, next. Perfect.
Right to Communicate project.
I think we're renaming it. Let's go for it. Yeah.
We will conduct a accessible e-learning website for people with disability to be able to use digital tools. Remove the things that stops people with disability to be part of the digital world.
So the project aims to look at, the Right to Connect project aims at developing and implementing digital skills of persons with intellectual disabilities to enhance active citizens through digital literacy. Now, we were one of the lead partners in writing this proposal, and what was really important for us and what we've learned over the last 5 or 6 years is that when especially learning programs are peer-led, they're far more successful, especially in the digital world. I'm getting a little old in my tooth, and Patrick knows far more about Snapchat and all these other platforms that young people want to engage with. And we can't do it alone. Especially really important is the language that we're using. Going back to what Anne was saying earlier on today, language is so important. So we need to make sure that any learning program that we were to produce was going to be accessible first, and that it was driven by plain language, and that the co-designers, and Patrick is a co-researcher on this project, but we have co-designers right across Europe. So we've got 3 co-designers from each of the countries on the 4 pilot partners all coming together to work on it. Patrick's in a unique position in this project. He's a co-researcher. So he's really helped us out with the research element of it. And this is a very unique, because none of the other partners have this unique aspect of having a co-researcher on the team. And as Patrick's already very eloquently said, we're going to co-design an accessible e-learning portal with a specific focus on resources that support meaningful participation in social media and other communications.
What we found in research: number 1, people report barriers that were needed and best practice. Number 2, there are a number of different words for digital literacy.
Yeah, literacy, yeah. And even that, like earlier on we talked about like having to know different words for data literacy. Digital literacy is as important, and there's so many different terms. Which one are we going to use? And so imagine putting that not only in an Irish context, but on a European forum. It's even harder to try and agree on what words we're going to use.
Number 3, we need to be able to assess, manage,
integrate, evaluate,
and create digital tools.
Yeah, and that's key, And even in the language there, we need to come up with new words for integrate and evaluate. And this is all going to be part of the big process.
And number 4, I am working with the team to make the research found more accessible.
Yeah, so
Accessibility.
Absolutely. The 2 universities, we've done the first stage of the research, so that was the survey stage, and Patrick's going to show you the amazing job he did on co-designing, well, actually he led it all out, building the accessible survey. But another really key part of that is that a lovely literature review came out from our esteemed colleagues in the University of Graz and from Cyprus. Unfortunately, we spent 2 hours trying to get our head around it and we're not even nearly there yet. So whatever about this being an accessible project, we need to make sure all of the outcomes of the project are accessible as well. So a bit of work to be done on the academia side to get them down to make sure that anything that they're producing is accessible.
Who will work with us? 10 men and women in St. John of God's service will co-design and test the tools created by the Rights to Communicate Europe team. Can I say that one?
Yeah.
This is the
Engage
toolkit, co-design and accessibility.
PPI, yeah. And David's actually going to be coming along later on today and he's going to share all about the work that we've done, the starting steps on the Engage toolkit.
Helping us to understand, including research, and we will use it as a guide.
Yeah, and inclusion is really, really important. Even though we've been involved in research for the last couple of years, we realise there's so much more that we can be doing to make research as inclusive as possible.
Do accessibility.
Oh yeah, the quantitative. We're trying to get our heads around quantitative and qualitative and all this kind of stuff. But basically, what is it?
It's a survey to get the numbers. The survey was co-designed by me, take part in focus group, and take part in an interview.
And Patrick has kindly donated his time to help us with all of this.
So I'll show you on the iPads.
Do you want to go to the next slide? We show them?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Right, so we've got 4 iPads, so you'll have to look over shoulders and stuff like that. But we thought it'd be more practical than rather than those shows up there, you can actually give the survey a go. So as you're going through that, this survey it's from the RIC survey. So it's the RIC Centre in the University of London, and we previously have done a project with them. The beauty of using the RIC survey, what's the best thing about the RIC survey?
The voice that sends back what you're saying, and the pictures. Instead of us having it on paper, it's much better to hear a voice, and that's the best way to do it.
So it makes surveys way more accessible because, as Patrick said, he can listen to this. You can record your own voice and have Patrick's voice as it is in the first bit there, or you can have the computer voice to read out the questions for you. We're using images and videos as well can be used and integrated into the survey, so it makes it a very much independent activity that people can do. In the past, what would have happened for a lot of people who we support?
On the papers.
And who would have read the questions?
The staff.
The staff would have read the questions. So straight away, you're dispowering people because they can't actually engage in a survey independently. So this allows them to engage more meaningfully and independently, giving them a bit of independence doing the survey that way.
They wouldn't need to support the staff. They'll know themselves to kind of do this.
Yeah. What about all the words in the survey? Now, when the Greek partners, the Cyprus University sent us down all the words of the survey, what did you think of them?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it. So basically, Patrick rewrote the survey into words that he thought was going to be more meaningful. What about the images that were used?
It wasn't really good.
There was no images.
So we searched and we got better ones so people to understand.
Yeah, and Patrick did all this himself on a laptop. It's that easy to edit the software. Christina will know, she's done it.
You just took me and I
Yeah,
just said,
so this is where the importance of, I suppose, the co-design, the co-researchers working together on the survey.
Social media to play games.
Is it working? Okay, great. We're probably running out of time, so.
I use social media to listen to music and watch videos.
Are we right?
beautiful.
Yeah.
What of the many barriers to online learning noticed by
By the people who took part in the research, yeah.
cross partners is accessible and logins, which is a founding that should be,
That we should remember when we develop the platform, isn't that right?
yeah.
And so just to say where we were at with the study, so it's a 3-phase study. We've completed phase 1, and that's the surveys that have gone out. In Ireland and Spain, we've used the RIC survey. Other partners have used their own data gathering and methods. A lot of those other services, because the RIC surveys, the speech back is only available in English yet. We've told them there's a huge market out there right across Europe if you wanted to add language into it. But one of the barriers was that it wasn't going to work for, let's say, our Greek partners or our German partners. But so the first this preliminary, as they say, data analysis has taken part, and this is the results of the surveys. And as Patrick said, login is key. So whatever this e-learning platform is going to look like, we got to make sure people can get into it before we build the wonderful back end of it.
Barriers to use of social media and internet seem to be most related
Related, yes.
related to a lack of training
Massive lack of training. Massive lack of training.
for the PWLD and the need for more accessibility.
Yeah, and I've done a big mistake there. I put an acronym in. Bad on me. People with intellectual disabilities, sorry. Next time, we're learning every day. Okay. So people want...
They want videos and images and text and speech.
So using all the multimedia in there to give the information out. We can't still, it's 2022, we can't still rely on text and the old ways of trying to give people information.
And we're not familiar with accessible funding.
Yeah, the functions. And so when you pick up your smartphone or your tablet, not a lot of people know that there's built-in accessibility in all these devices. And from the survey results, very few people knew about those built-in accessibilities.
That's why we had to show them and display them. That could be a better way for the future.
Absolutely.
So thank you for listening and thanks for coming.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Patrick. Thanks, Patrick and Sarah. Patrick, can I ask you, when you had to rewrite that survey and come up with the different pictures, how long did that take you?
Well, I would have to go probably say about like an hour. Because I kind of would know like what to do.
You're good. You're a pro at plain languaging things. I think it was more than an hour. I think we spent 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it was kind of what's hard to kind of find the project and then kind of solving it, which is better for and which one kind of we need. But it was well worth it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And we had to go twice actually because Patrick did it and we rewrote it and then we had to send it off to the speech and language therapists and then they took a look at it and then it came back. Did you agree with all what the speech and language therapists said?
No.
No. So so we've but great to get the expert opinions and ideas and stuff like that. And maybe it's not perfect, but at least we're on the road to getting it a little bit better for people to be able to engage.
Brilliant. And I'm just wondering, does anyone have any other questions?
Sarah, I was just wondering, in terms of the European nature of the project, and when they're not all using the same survey, how would you envisage getting over getting the comparisons done, or getting the data that comparing apples with apples?
I know. And so what we did was, I suppose, they took up from what Patrick did. So they took Patrick's, let's say, text version, and then they ran it their way on their systems. As I said, it was two of the partners, ourselves in Spain, loved the idea. They said their participants wouldn't have relied on the text-to-speech feature. That's where the survey would talk back to you, because they had literacy skills, so they didn't rely on that feature, but they liked the idea of engaging with the images and stuff like that. And the others used text-based, your traditional survey that you would have done. But it actually... Patrick not only rewrote it for us, he rewrote it for everybody.
That's great. Thank you so much. That's brilliant.